So there are newspaper articles about me. Not one, not two. Over the years, every time I violated probation, every time I went back to jail, every time the system decided I like my worst moment deserved to be public, they printed it. Front page, second page, every paper in the state usually. And they're not hard to find. And if you know my name and you know how to type, you can find them right now. Today in about 45 seconds. My children can find them. And that specific thought, is something I carry with me every single morning when I wake up. But there are two articles that are different from all the others. Two that I think about more than any mugshot or arrest report ever printed. Because those two are not about what I did. They were about my body. I want to talk about what it feels like when they publish articles about a warrant to search your body internally. Not your mugshot, not your charges. A warrant to search your body internally. Described in print for everyone who has ever known you to read. And in my case, they did it twice. Let me tell you what happened. I had been in and out of the Chittenden facility so many times. They knew my name. Like, they knew when I was coming. And every single time I went in, every single time, they took me off all my mental health meds, all my maintenance medications, and they would throw me in the hole. Sometimes for months. Like, no joke, months in the hole. Because I was a person that was addicted. So they took me off all my medications, cold turkey. No taper, no transition, no care at all. Alone in a cell. Just, you're here now, you're going to the hole. You don't get the things your body depends on to function. That's not treatment. That is punishment for having a disease. And so I did what women in that situation do, what any human being does when the system refuses to take care of them. I found another way to make sure I had what I needed. My friends inside knew I always came prepared for finishing school, and they did what women in closed custody do. They anticipated my arrival, and they talked about that anticipation in the rec room. That is why they served me with a warrant to search my body internally. I want you to understand what that means, though. Like, they produced a legal document signed by a judge authorizing a physical internal search of my body by force, if necessary. And then they printed it in every paper in my state. They put a warrant to search my body and the results in every newspaper. Not just that I've been arrested, not just that I was facing charges. They described what the warrant authorized, what they were looking for, where they were looking, and what they found in specific detail. My prescribed medications, my body jewelry, yeah. They mentioned my body jewelry in a newspaper, many of them, for everyone to read. And then they did it again. 2 warrants, 2 newspapers. Well, 2 newspaper articles in many papers. My professors and my friends read those papers. People who had sat across from me and seen something worth saving at some point. People who had believed in me when I gave them very little reason to. People had written me letters, shown up for me, told me I was more than what the streets and the system said I was. People in recovery themselves, people who understood the disease from the inside. People had given me their phone numbers and their time and their faith. Neighbors, people I'd gone to school with, people from my hometown who thought they already knew everything about me. Every single one of them opened their paper that morning to read about a warrant to search my body internally. Not because they needed to know. No, not because it was relevant to public safety. Not because disclosing the details of that warrant protected anyone, because it wasn't that serious. But they did it because humiliation sells papers. That's why they did it. because a woman with addiction in that system at that time was not a human being with a medical condition. She was a headline. And I've never said this out loud before, not like this. And the reason I'm saying it now is sitting in the next room. 2 reasons, actually. My daughter and my son. They're going to be old enough to search my name one day, maybe even one day soon. And I don't know. Kids are resourceful. And the internet does not forget. Though they do get buried. It does get buried. A lot of them. Some things get buried behind subscriptions now or whatever, but still. I will not let them find that warrant in a newspaper before I get to look them in the eyes and tell them the full story myself. Not the version the newspaper printed, my version. Because here's what the newspaper left out. It left out those medications were prescribed to me. It left out that the facility ripped me off every single one of my medications, every single time I came through the door. It left out that I was not a drug kingpin or a trafficker. I was a woman with a disease that the system had decided to punish instead of treat. It left out everything that had led to those moments. The childhood, the chaos, the first needle at such a young age, the 20 years of the revolving door that the system built and maintained and profited from. It left out the fact that when you are treated as less than a human for long enough, you start to believe. And when you believe you are nothing, you act accordingly. It's not an excuse. It's a fact. And the newspapers did not print that fact. Those Warrant articles came out around 2007, 2008, and I've carried them for nearly a decade. A decade of people in my town having read those articles. A decade of walking into rooms, wondering who knew. A decade of living inside that humiliation while the system kept cycling me back to the same doors and the papers kept printing my name every time it did. In 2016, everything changed. I found out I was pregnant, and for the first time in a very long time, it wasn't about me anymore. I walked out of the apartment where I was selling drugs, with the clothes on my back, a GPS ankle monitor from corrections around my ankle, and a credit score of 450. And I checked into a homeless shelter. And I started over. The newspapers, they didn't print that. They couldn't have. But still, they didn't print that I got sober, that I had 2 children. I bought my own home, became a certified life coach, blogger. I built something from nothing to help people find their way out of the same system that put warrants to search my body internally in the newspaper and called it news. The newspaper printed my worst moments. I'm still here writing the rest. To every teacher that read that article, to every sponsor, to every person who flinched when they saw my name and thought, I knew her. I thought she was different. You were right. Not about what the article said, but about what you saw in me. The thing that you believed in was real. It just had a longer road to travel than either of us expected. And to my kids, if you ever find this video before I get the chance to sit down with you, I need you to know that I made it count. Every humiliation, every newspaper, every moment someone printed my worst day and handed it to the world like it was the whole story, I made it count because you exist. And you're proof that nothing that system did to me was the final word. You are the final word. I'm Samantha. I created Progressing Not Perfecting for every person the world has ever reduced to their worst moment and called it journalism. You are not that article. You are not that headline. And you are not that day. Neither am I. Come find me at samanthadeshiva.com and follow me on all socials at pro, not per. Please stay close. There's so much more to this story. There always is. Until next time, my lovies. Take care.